This week in games, the UK blocks the Activision Blizzard acquisition, Respawn talks about a possible Titanfall 3, and we review Portal 2. This is the Two Penny Gamescast. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 145. I'm your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Hello to the people. I think I synced up to your words the best I've done yet.
Well, you have to remember you're on a delay because your footage is coming back to me.
It's only what matters to me, as long as.
Oh, okay, gotcha. It's just your own benefit, not
I'm
what
gonna
actually.
look like an idiot regardless on screen.
That's fair.
So,
yeah, yeah. You know, both of us often look like idiots over here at the Two Penny Games. Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, this is the Two Penny Games Cast, in which me and Connor, we sit down to you, we give you the new news you need to know concerning the video game industry. We each come to you with two topics, 2 pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. Make sure to comment down below different gaming topics or news stories you'd like us to see, and I'd like to introduce sort of an audience's 2 pennies. I want your 2 pennies involved in this as well as ours. So let us know down in the comments what you want us to talk about. Those could be news stories. They could be stories we didn't have time to cover last week that you want us to talk about, or it could just be general questions. Let us know what you're feeling, what you're thinking, how bad Connor's opinion of Batman Arkham Asylum is. You know, just let us know.
I thought you were going a different route with that, but you know what? I'm so confident in me being right of how bad that game is. It won't even faze me.
You're confident that it's bad.
We had a conversation, for those of you that didn't see it, of the placement of a certain game on our Gameclub list. I had a contentious spot that I wanted to keep. That's understandable. Saying that I'm wrong about Arkham Asylum is not acceptable. It is objectively a not good game and a not fun time.
You can see that conversation happen at the end of this episode when we rank and review Portal 2 on our video game Gameclub. What is it called? The Two Penny Game Club. That's the name of the fucking show. In which it is a video game book club in which me, Connor, and our good buddy Phil will come in and we review a game of yore, and we play it throughout the month and give it to you at the beginning of each month. Review it and rank it for, your pleasure, our dispute, our debate. We had another debatable one on this one. We were going back and forth on a couple of where it should rank. So make sure you stick around for that conversation, or just catch the breakout review over at youtube.com/@2pennygames. I'm sure a YouTube short will be going up whenever I can. I'm in the process of moving, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have a lot of time to edit these days.
Don't bother. You just gotta make yourself move instead of focusing on less important things like a YouTube channel. Life is the most important thing.
Right. Who would ever want this side hobby to become a side hustle and then hopefully a side business and then actually just a main business? Who would want that? Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you like, subscribe, share. Remember to come around next week for our Star Wars Jedi Survivor review. We're going to be late to it. Everyone else has said their piece about Jedi Survivor, but we want to say our piece. But it's a big game. We're small creators, and we need time to play the game. So me and Connor will be back next week to review Star Wars Jedi Survivor. But Connor, let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's drop some sense on them. Let's jump into our first topic of the day. Your first penny. Go ahead, take it away for us, sir.
Well, we have an article from Games Industry Biz by Marie Delisandri. Vice shutting down Waypoint. Vice is shutting down its game publication Waypoint. The news came via Twitter from senior writer Patrick Klepek. Quote, "The team, myself included, have been terminated by Vice, and our final day running the website, the podcasts, and streams will come to an end on June 2nd, he wrote. Waypoint's official Twitter account confirmed the information soon after. Waypoint, quote, Waypoint should have ended a long time ago," Klepek continued. "We've always been an extremely weird website. Our podcast sign-off is, quote, fuck capitalism, go home, after all. But we survived 6 long years. That's a goddamn eternity in media. We tried to hold on as long as we could. Waypoint Plus was a godsend, and to all the fans of Waypoint that showed up on day one, know that your contributions in spirit and money were a huge reason we weren't laid off sooner. You, alongside my talented colleagues now and over the years, made waking up every day a joy. The publication was launched by Vice in 2016 as an evolution of its Vice gaming section, and more recently launched premium subscription offering Waypoint Plus. Multiple editorial staff were laid off at Vice late last year. This follows a number of layoffs and closures in games media, including the Washington Post shutting down its gaming section, Launcher and GameSpot, and Giant Bomb affected by layoffs in January. It's just a continuing trend, Tavin.
It is a continuing trend. Now, the difference here is that it's games media, which we've covered several games media layoffs that have happened recently. It's just kind of affecting everyone everywhere. But games media continues to be just a volatile profession, and it sucks to hear that these people have lost their jobs. I'm not familiar with Waypoint. I'm not familiar with the gaming editorial section of Vice, but that's a badass podcast sign-off. Fuck capitalism and go home. I like that shit. So
ironic, considering you're talking about video games, which are capitalism all through and through. Unless there's a state-owned
parts.
Well, what state-owned video game company exists, or any non-private entity?
Good point.
Seems kind of it's all a side point, but
I mean, there's publicly owned.
They're like NPR, but none of them really no video game news. Well.
I mean, yes. Yeah, video games media, sites are all, capitalistic journals, corporations and so forth. But, game devs, it's public-owned game devs and publishers, So, I mean, but, yeah. I mean, we live in that world, but, it does suck.
Yeah.
So.
Now, one thing, I'm not familiar with this either, like you. But one thing I am somewhat familiar with is Vice, who simultaneously make dog shit, stupid articles that are written by people that probably shouldn't be writing things, but it's also combined with some of the best journalism in the industry right now. Vice has consistently done some amazing stories. If you look at some of the catalog of their past stories, they infiltrated arms dealers once before and showed how they worked out. So, there's a lot of value at Vice, and Waypoint, and no doubt is the same exact thing. Tons of good stuff that this group did. Patrick Klepek, I'm familiar with. He's a great journalist. And
we've read many of his stories on this show.
Yes, and I saw his tweet. It was sad because he was presenting himself hey, if someone's looking for someone to as a writer because he wants to continue as a journalist, I'm always available to contact, which is always the thing to focus on, regardless of the other things around it, which is people are just all of a sudden losing a job. It's understandable if the site wasn't doing so well. Sometimes these cuts have to be made, but it's not exactly it doesn't make it good. It just makes it an unfortunate reality.
Yeah, and I mean the video games as a whole is a volatile industry, as is media. Exponentially more so. It's just impossible to, or it's not impossible, but it's very, very difficult to have true job security in games media. So it's unfortunate that 100 people have lost their jobs here. In a publication that when it went down, my Twitter feed went crazy with a bunch of people saying, "Oh man, really? Waypoint? They were dope or whatever." I personally was not familiar with their work, but it sounds like this is one of those ones that they're going to be lost, and it sucks to continuously see media get boiled down to a couple of companies, a couple of brand names. You can probably count them on two hands now, where it's your GameSpot, IGN, Kotaku, or your nobody, right? That's it's just those big guys. It's those big yeah, but Destructoid's big too. So, and it feels like it's only a matter of time before, we lose those middle-ranged ones as well. So, sucks. But, hopefully it means that, we have, more people willing to create new things or venture out on their own, go, I don't know, a Patreon route or something, and build it out. But, it's all difficult, especially when, building a name for yourself and building a personal brand that is security in some way or another it's just really difficult to do in this side of the media. And it's crazy because you look at the games industry as a whole. There were reports this last week of PlayStation is breaking records with their hardware sales left and right. And all of that is great for PlayStation studios and dev teams around the world. But that doesn't translate to games media side. You and I, Connor, we talk all the time about how gaming is bigger than it's ever been. It's the biggest medium of entertainment out there. And yet we have this entire cornerstone of the industry that is still suffering and is still finding difficulty, providing security and providing ways to to find audiences that are willing to pay for their services. So it's a tricky little corner to be in.
Yeah, from my time in studying journalism in college, that has always been one of the harder bits of of journalism in general is funding. It's why it's very easy to have state-sponsored, state-funded media organizations, because that's a good supply of money that you're never really going to have to worry about. And really, all the prime function at that point is just delivering good, important stories that people need to know. And it's just hard to stay alive in this day and age in the world of media. And these jobs, seeing as they've been going out the window, from a variety of different outlets, it's no surprise. Not a surprise. It's an unfortunate one.
Very much so. Unfortunately, unfortunate news is going to be the trend for this week as we move into topic number 2, my first penny of the day. Metacritic promises stricter moderation to tackle abusive and disrespectful user reviews. We are pulling a PC Gamer article by Fraser Brown. Now, I say unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we've got to do this, but this is a good story at the end of it. So stick with me here as we continue. Excuse me as I clear my throat, get ready to read you these words. Listen to my sweet serenading voice. Anyways, an optional kiss in Horizon Forbidden West's DLC, Burning Shores, has unfortunately inspired a lot of frothing homophobia in Metacritic's user reviews section. In response, Metacritic owner Fandom says it's taking steps to counter review bombing campaigns and instances of abusive and disrespectful reviews. Forbidden West has yet to make its way over to PC, but reactionary rants are far from exclusive to PS5 games. If anything can be remotely deemed as woke, there are going to be folks absolutely losing their shit over it on Steam and Metacritic. Now, amid the people complaining about an optional kiss that they never have to see, or are plenty of more reasonable complaints, and Metacritic is not taking action against them, even if it is pretty outrageous to give a game 0 out of 10 just because it wasn't your cup of tea. We got some editorializing here, and I like it. Its focus is on tackling instances of personal attacks and bigotry, which are against the site's terms of use. In a statement to Eurogamer, Fandom addressed the issue. Quote, "Fandom is a place of belonging for all fans, and we take online trust and safety very seriously across all our sites, including Metacritic. Metacritic is aware of the abusive and disrespectful reviews of Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores, and we have a moderation system in place to track violations of our terms of use. Quote, our team reviews each and every report of abuse, including but not limited to racist, sexist, homophobic, insults to other users, etc. And if violations occur, the reviews are removed. We are currently evolving our process and tools to introduce stricter moderation in the coming months. Stricter moderation is clearly a necessity because judging by how much homophobia is still present among the user reviews and how much of it has been allowed to stay up for several days, the moderation team doesn't have the resources or time to handle it. Indeed, there are still reviews complaining about Aloy's sexuality on the main page. What Fandom doesn't explain, however, is how it's evolving Metacritic's process and what tools it will be using to deal with people using user reviews to spout hate."
Yeah, this is unfortunately just something that's kind of a problem that'll never go away in certain corners of the internet, particularly on sites where anyone can basically say what they want for whatever reason.
It is a particularly large problem on the internet, yes. And it's been a problem with, things like user reviews for a long, long time. I long ago threw away user reviews. I do not care what users have to say because, one, they're probably not educated enough, I'll say, tentatively say. When you open up the floodgates and allow everybody to come and review things, it's nice because you do get people's honest thoughts and opinions on things. And sometimes that is beneficial, and sometimes it's just hateful, like we see here with Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores. There are often times where the general public will agree with the critical perspective of video games, movies, whatever, reviews in general. A good example of this is the Super Mario Brothers movie, where critics were very harsh to Super Mario Brothers, but general audiences were much nicer to it. And I personally lean towards I had a great time with Mario, but I'm also, a Mario fan. I play Mario video games. So all of the things I wanted to see as a Mario fan were there. People who don't know anything about Mario and just went to go see a movie had legitimate complaints. And the thing about it is like, I personally throw away user reviews. I don't think they're legitimate in any form because of this reason. Because of review bombs, because people have hate in their hearts and don't want people to live the lives they want to live, and would rather, sit behind a keyboard all day and talk about, how two girls kissed on their video game than, like, I don't know, playing the game for themselves or trying to open up to a new perspective or seeing things in somebody else's point of view. Like, it's really not that hard to walk around life and just be good to each other. But the internet constantly is just a cesspool of hate. And the benefit is like on the critic side, which is what I do hope Two Penny Games can grow into, to being used as a source of input on, is that we establish ourselves as people who have a background in video games, who sort of like have, we don't have experience making games, but we have a lot of experience playing them. And you can see sort of how our opinions and our quote unquote objective views have developed over time. And when we go to play a video game, it's not just, am I having fun with this? Is it entertaining? We are evaluating it on that level. Yes, is it fun and entertaining? But is it also, how does it run? How do the mechanics blend together? How is the art design? How is all these things? Like, we look at, the full picture of a game, as opposed to just being like, oh, two girls kissed, 0 out of 10. What video game is a 0 out of 10? That's not a legitimate review. You can't have a 0 out of 10 video game. It's just not a thing that happens. Unless it's just a broken piece of crap that stole your money, like actively like robbed you, like,
or not fun like Arkham Asylum.
No, Connor, stop it. Even you cannot give. You're playing a joke.
What?
So I don't know. I look at this and I go, good. Like, yeah, long time coming.
You see, I have an interesting take, but I think it's the important one, which is that if you want to play a game, do the best research you can. Look at user reviews, look at critic reviews, and then make your own decision on whether you want to buy the game, and then come up with your own thoughts, regardless of what these people, say. Which seems reasonable, seems like an obvious thing to say, but it's very easy for people to have their opinions influenced by those around them, whether it's through critics, whether it's by the users, whether it's by Twitter, Facebook, wherever you happen to be in the social sphere. That can highly dictate whether you buy a game, how fun you think it is, and you should really just rely entirely on your own experiences and thoughts when you play a game yourself. And these should just serve as not a way to, guide on whether this is a good game or not, for those obvious reasons. People have hate. People have stupid reasons for why, or at least reasons that you don't agree with for why they may not like a game. So, why, not to take away from the fact that this is just a really good thing to do, to make sure that the user reviews are as accurate and non-hateful as possible. But ultimately, you should use these things as a guiding light to decide whether you want to buy the game in the first place, and not to judge a game on any of its qualities, whatever that might be, whether it's story, characters, theme, whatever. Make up your own mind, and tell these people to go fuck themselves, basically.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with that for the most part. I mean, that is how you be a smart consumer. That's how you look at what is being offered to you, and this is how you should make purchasing decisions and so forth. But the internet being the internet, and just being a commodity that most people have, they would rather sit in an online forum and talk trash about something that really doesn't matter. Like, when you think of Horizon, Connor, in any way, do you care about Aloy's romantic interests at all?
I don't care about Aloy. So,
exactly.
no.
Like, that's not what I go for a Horizon game. I go for fighting giant robots, and there's plenty of that in Horizon. Let me tell you what. So yeah, I'm really like, it's just like, at what point do you look at those? And this is something I think is a long time coming. Like, this should have happened in The Last of Us Part 2 days. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, that we just allow whoever to just go out and give and review bomb games. Review bombing is a thing. That's ridiculous. Like, that shouldn't be a thing. Like, like, I don't love gatekeeping. Like, I don't love the idea of gatekeeping, but if you're going to speak on something, you shouldn't be a moron. And I think these people who go out and review bomb and give games 0 out of 10, 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, and they've never played the game, you're a moron, and you shouldn't be given an opportunity to speak on something you don't know about.
I'm gonna be honest, Tavin. This is maybe one of the more hot takes from me. Gatekeeping, from my experience, seems to be overall a good thing rather than a bad thing. From my experience.
Yeah, but it can hold people back from opportunities that they should, be given.
It has its negatives, but I think they're outweighed by the positives overall.
In this specific scenario, I agree. Yeah, but corporations shouldn't be gatekeeping like people of color or women or
It's gatekeeping based off ideas, not of anything like that. On whether they're stupid or smart. That's really the baseline, is what it is.
I'm not gonna co-sign that, but
I was expecting you to push back more on the whole thing. I'm surprised you went as far as you did.
It's not that, like, because I see what you're saying. It's just, I think in real world application it doesn't work.
Oh, so, no, I'm only talking about products, video games, art, things like that. Not when you get into the real world things like actual issues that really impact people. That's when I think that I wouldn't make the case gatekeeping.
Okay, all right. I wanted to clarify. I didn't want someone to be like, Connor, what the hell are you talking about?
I'm talking about things like Horizon, like Dungeons and Dragons. Gatekeeping can be good.
All right. So
these are the thoughts and opinions of Connor Elliott, not of Gamescast.
You're lagging a little bit, but the joke came across. But we're gonna move on to our third topic of the day. My second penny. It's a bit of a two-parter, ladies and gentlemen, because we're gonna pull from two different articles. Our first is Gamatsu by Sal Romano. United Kingdom regulators block Microsoft's proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard due to cloud gaming concerns. United Kingdom antitrust regulator Competition and Markets Authority has made the final decision to block Microsoft's proposed $68.7 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard, the outfit announced. According to the outfit, Microsoft's proposed solution failed to effectively address its concerns in the cloud gaming sector. The regulator believes the deal would alter the future of the cloud gaming market and lead to, quote, reduced innovation and less choice for United Kingdom gamers over the years to come. Microsoft proposed the acquisition of Activision Blizzard in January 2022, and the Competition and Markets Authority launched an in-depth review of the deal in September 2022. In February 23, the outfit determined that the deal could make Microsoft an even stronger competitor in the cloud gaming sector and stifle competition. Quote, Microsoft already enjoys a powerful position and head start over other competitors in a head start over other competitors in cloud gaming, and this deal would strengthen that advantage, giving it the ability to undermine new and innovative competitors, said Martin Coleman, chair of the independent panel of experts conducting the Competition of Markets Authority's investigation. Quote, Microsoft engaged constructively with us to try to address these issues, and we are grateful for that. But their proposals were not effective to remedy our concerns and would have replaced competition with ineffective regulation in a new and dynamic market. Cloud gaming needs a free, competitive market to drive innovation and choice. That is best achieved by allowing the current competitive dynamics in cloud gaming to continue to do their job. In response, Microsoft's vice chair and president issued the following statement. Quote, we remain fully committed to this acquisition and will appeal. The CMA's decision rejects our pragmatic path to address competition concerns and discourages technology, innovation, and investment in the United Kingdom. We have already signed contracts to make Activision Blizzard's popular games available on 150 million more devices, and we remain committed to reinforcing these agreements through regulatory remedies. We're especially disappointed that after lengthy deliberations, this decision appears to reflect a flawed understanding of this market and the way the relevant cloud technology actually works. Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick also sent the following email to staff today. Team, today, the Competition and Markets Authority, CMA, a regulatory agency in the UK, decided to not approve our merger with Microsoft. This isn't the news we wanted, but it is far from the final word on this deal. Alongside Microsoft, we can and will contest this decision, and we've already begun the work to appeal the UK Competition Appeals Tribunal. We're confident in our case because the facts are on our side. This deal is good for competition. The UK hopes to grow its leadership position in technology, and a combined Microsoft Activision would accomplish that at a time when the fields of machine learning and artificial intelligence are thriving. We know the UK market would benefit from Microsoft's bench strength in both domains, as well as our ability to put those technologies to use immediately. By contrast, if the CMA's decision holds, it would stifle investment, competition, and job creation throughout the UK gaming industry. This merger is a complex process, and I know I'm not the only one frustrated by hurdles and delays. We're accustomed to a company culture that moves quickly to accomplish big goals, so it's tough when we can't close things out at our usual energetic pace. We'll keep pressing our case because we know that this merger will benefit our employees, the broader UK tech workforce, and players around the world. And then I'm going to go ahead and stop there. And I'm also going to add on, Phil Spencer made a quote, and I'm pulling a WindowsCentral.com by Jez Corden, where Phil reassured staff that the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, is part of the plan, but it's not the whole plan for Microsoft going forward. So this isn't going to be a make or break deal for Microsoft. It's just going to be like, oh, damn, we really wanted to do that. We were gearing up to do that. And it sucks that, it may not come to fruition now. Connor, where are you on this update?
Well, my consistent take on this is acquisitions of this kind suck, as a general rule. This is one of those exceptions due to the fact that I hate Blizzard so much, Activision Blizzard so much, and I think they're just a horrible rat shit company, to the point where I believe it is best for them to be acquired by somebody else. And only that, Activision Blizzard. For other people, because I've seen a lot of people talk about how great this is, I've seen a lot of people talk about how horrible this is, and, both of those sides have some truth to them. Acquisitions of this kind are not good because it consolidates things under, these big titles like Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, and it has negative impacts usually, but as I said, with all of the constant problems Activision Blizzard has had internally, and Microsoft doesn't have those issues, I think they would be, for certain, be eradicated if they were acquired by them. But at the same time, these reasons for, not wanting the deal to go through make sense due to the fact that cloud gaming is going to be impacted by this. Who would have thought that at all? I wouldn't have. It's pretty funny. So it's, you can take it or leave it, but it is kind of annoying that the one of the few times this happened is during an acquisition that had some bright sides to it. And to the people that also wouldn't want this to go through due to the fact that Activision Blizzard has so many games under their catalog. Those games are ones like Overwatch and Call of Duty, and those fans, frankly, don't matter. those fans are stupid and dumb and play dumb
Whoa,
games.
whoa, whoa, hold on.
I'm just kidding. But I know, I'm just kidding. It's a double-edged sword, this whole thing, and whether it goes through or not, a lot of the issues we have in the gaming industry are going to keep on going on. This isn't all of a sudden going to stop acquisitions from happening, and consolidation's over. We finally won. It's just for this one thing, because Activision Blizzard is so big, and because Microsoft is already so big, and other people are raising a stink about it, notably Sony. Even if their arguments that they've made up until this point have been bad, there's always different aspects of it that could shut down a deal like this, like cloud gaming. Who would have thought?
I mean, yes, and yeah, like we've had the continuous conversation on this podcast, and frankly, I'm tired of talking about it. There's been a couple of weeks where we've been like, this is not a big enough update to the story for us to talk about it again and just rehash the same talking points again and again and again. I don't believe that this is the end-all be-all for this acquisition. I think there's still a good chance that the acquisition will come through further appeals and discussions. This does elongate the entire process and make it to where we're going to be talking about this for some years now. It's definitely a step backwards in terms of the acquisition happening. But the vice president of Microsoft said, and I agree with him, that this is like their decision, I think, clearly does not show that they understand what they're talking about 100%. Especially because when you look at it, Microsoft is throwing 10-year deals left and right. They just announced another one yesterday at the time of this recording. Like, they're trying to put their games everywhere. So it's not like stifling competition in any way. If anything, it means just more games and more places for people to play. I'm not personally interested in cloud gaming right now, but it will eventually and very quickly become very important to all gamers out there. And Microsoft, I've said it many times on this podcast, Microsoft is ahead of the game. They're working on it. They're not making it their main pillar of how you get your games, but it's been in the background for a long time. You can play Microsoft games on your cell phone. About as well as you can play anything through cloud gaming right now. But the fact that they've had their feet in this technology for a while now, they've lasted longer than other competitors, like Stadia, and they're willing to commit to it, shows that I think they are ready for the next huge wave in technology in games. And yes, they will have a leg up because they put in the groundwork. They put in the foundation for it. I disagree. I don't see how Call of Duty being on cloud services will stifle competition. I don't see how that's possible. So I'm confused as to the CMA's ruling on this. It feels like they're having a different argument. And like, I understand that like games as big as Call of Duty being exclusive to Xbox platforms does like that's a big number. Don't get me wrong. That's a big name, and it does a lot of numbers, and it supplies a lot of jobs to a lot of people under one name. But there's no reason other guys can't have the same names, like PlayStation, we talked about it last week before. They're clearly building out a multiplayer branch. They're clearly going to make things big, huge multiplayer games exclusive to their platforms. So the competition isn't stifled. I would argue it's encouraged through this acquisition.
Well, this is actually a story I completely forgot about, but it's a good time to bring it up. This is an article from Games Radar. Hiron's Crier. Sony hints at more acquisitions coming this year. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically the Sony president, Hiroki Toteki, said that they will be increasing acquisition costs by 20% for the 2023 fiscal year. So, this is the same company that was trying to raise a stink as much as they could to prevent the Activision Blizzard deal from going on. And then look at this, shortly after this story broke that we're covering right now. It was just, we're going to buy more things. Now, what did that come in the form of? Probably not something as big as Activision Blizzard. At least I would think not. But they don't care, ultimately. It's a war between the two on the console wars are over from the fans' perspective. At the end of the day, companies like these are still going to be competing with one another for more sales. And Sony's no different. Though they may try to brand themselves as being such.
Yeah, I mean, there's a conversation to have that like every studio is getting bought up by three different companies, two different companies, really. So like eventually we just end up in a situation where the entire gaming market is heralded by two brand names. But why are we doing this with gaming? You know, like Fox News owns every single news corporation out there. Like CNN and Fox, aren't they owned by the same company? Like, so
I don't
like
think they are.
they're not. Am I
I
wrong in
don't believe
that?
so.
No.
No, yeah, they should be different.
I think it's when you go up the chain high enough, like you really are being fed the same crap from the same people. So like, I don't understand why this is where we're drawing the line. But yeah, cloud gaming is not when the story started. God damn, almost 2 years ago now. I was not expecting cloud gaming to be a part of the conversation, but here we are with it. I really don't understand the CMA's like position on this. Like it is not clear to me how they think this acquisition will stifle competition in cloud gaming. It does undeniably it does give Microsoft a leg up in some areas, but Epic Games is in the exact same position as Microsoft right now. Like what is the problem? There's no problem there, so why is there a problem here? You know? So yeah, I just think it's just clear that like there's just a bunch of old fogies in the CMA here that don't understand the technology and don't understand what's actually happening here in this industry, and someone should inform them.
Just for transparency purposes or elaboration purposes, because I'm kind of a stickler for that kind of stuff.
Of course.
If some people have noticed, CNN is owned by Warner Bros. Fox is by Fox, the Fox Corporation or whatever the hell they're called. What are they called again? Fox.
There's no
Fox
parent companies of those.
No, because it's all Fox is like the brand of Fox.
Okay, gotcha. Well, then I apologize.
That's like something that most people would not know. I certainly didn't know what exactly it was. Yeah,
I bet you the CEO of Warner Brothers and CEO of Fox are good buddies.
More likely than not.
Yeah, they're too big and are in the same space to not be. Connor, let's go ahead and wrap up our news segment here with your final penny of the day, our final topic of the day. Go ahead, take it away, my friend.
Oh, we got an article from VGC, Video Game Chronicle. Respawn's boss says he would love to see Titanfall 3.
Wouldn't we all?
All right. Jordan Midler wrote this article. Speaking to Barron's, Respawn CEO Vince Zampella has said that he'd love to see Titanfall 3 happen, although he stopped short of committing to return to the franchise. Speaking to Barron's, Zampella claimed that Respawn is, quote, not working on anything currently, end quote. He said, I hate to say yes, then people latch onto that and then skewer you when it doesn't come out, when it doesn't come. But I would love to see it happen is the real answer. There are no exact dedicated plans for that. Zampella continued, it has to be the right thing. It's such a beloved franchise for the fans and also for us. If it is not the right moment in time, the right idea, then it just doesn't make sense. It means money. Apex Legends is the Titanfall universe, right? That's how you do something that doesn't confuse people that are Apex fans, but not necessarily Titanfall fans yet. It's a hard question to answer, but ultimately, I would love to see something. It was reported earlier this year that a team of about 50 people had been working on Titanfall Legends at Respawn. This single-player experience for Apex Legends would have been an attempt to get a, quote, Titanfall-feeling project inside of its hugely popular free-to-player spin-off Apex Legends, according to Giant Bomb reporter Jeff Grubb. Titanfall Legends was not Titanfall 3 because in a lot of people's minds, I think Titanfall 3 was going to be a new standalone game with a single-player campaign and a multiplayer. And they could never do that again after Apex Legends changed the calculus on all those things, he said. EA internally announced the cancellation of the game in February, it's claimed. This is not coming.
I mean, Titanfall's gone. It's done.
It shouldn't be. Shouldn't be. It's been hashed over and over on Twitter. We've said it on this podcast before. Mobile shooter, high mobility, fast-paced action, giant mechs. So many elements that just work, and current games are coming out now that have these elements and are allotted for them when it already was here for a game that didn't do all that well when it should have. It is probably one of the greatest.
It didn't do that well outside of the reasons of the quality of the game. Because both Titanfall 1 and 2 very high quality games.
And yet, it's just one of the greatest tragedies of modern gaming. And I don't think that's an understatement. I struggle to think of one that just failed as much as Titanfall did when it shouldn't have.
Just a kiss of death, and it sucks. And I mean, Jeff Grubb said it, like, you can't make a Titanfall 3 like in name again because Apex Legends happened. And it's great that Apex Legends happened. It's great that Respawn finally caught a win after catching 2 L's, undeserved L's. But now, you know, you have the Apex Legends branding that means more than Titanfall does. And so, yeah, Titanfall Legends, whatever that game was, I'm sure it was in its infancy. Just, you know, we're never going to see that. It's never, like, and it's time for, I think it's time for us to just retire the idea of Titanfall coming back. Maybe they'll find a way to evolve Apex Legends to be a little more Titanfall-y. It's a lot of Titanfall is still in Apex Legends. Like, the DNA of that is very much Titanfall. A lot of the same guns are in there. The gunplay is very similar. You know, the momentum is close. Obviously, there's no wall running or, you know, not everybody has double jumping and so forth. But, you know, there's still a lot of mobility in Apex Legends. And then, of course, obviously, we're missing the Titans in that, which sucks, man. God, I loved Titanfall 2. And it's really unfortunate because it's not even like you just can't play it because the servers got DDoS to hell and it's just impossible to play that game anymore. It's just a dead game, which really sucks because I can still load up Star Wars Battlefront 2 and find a very active player base no matter where I play, which is insane to me. But, you know, a game like Titanfall 2, which, as much as I'm a fan of Battlefront 2, Titanfall 2 is such a better game. Like, Titanfall 2 is one of my favorite first-person shooters ever. But, you know, because of reasons outside of the quality of the game, it didn't work. It didn't do the numbers it was supposed to do. And now we just see, you know, I'm sure Respawn would love to return to that. I'm sure they would love to put out a Titanfall 3. I'm positive. But if I'm EA, we tried twice. It didn't work. Like, the people spoke, you know, the market spoke. You could argue back and forth that EA fucked Titanfall both times, but when EA penned the deal for Titanfall 1 to be Xbox One exclusive, that deal probably made sense at that time. And then, of course, things happened, and, you know, the Xbox One was what the Xbox One was. So, you know, Titanfall 1 didn't work. Titanfall 2 was multi-platform. Not enough people cared to jump in on Titanfall 2. It was in between, what was it, Halo 5 and one of the Call of Duties. So, it just didn't get a fair shake. And that sucks because it deserved one. It deserved more than a fair shake. It deserved to be a no pun intended, it deserved to be a titan of first-person shooting games. But it just didn't really make the cut. And that really sucks because I'm a huge fan. And I would love to see a return, but I think it's past time for us to admit that it's just not going to happen.
Sad day indeed.
But I do love the honesty. I love Zampella being up front and being like, "Listen, man, I would like to. That would be great. You know, we at Respawn would love to. It just doesn't make sense, and we're not gonna kid around and tease something that isn't happening because it's just not happening." And they're a little busy with Star Wars now, so.
That'll never come back. Star Wars never happened again.
Oh, yeah, Star Wars, you know. That's a failure, you know, waiting.
Definition dead.
Connor, anything else you want to add to the Titanfall 2 story? I know I ate up a lot of airtime there.
No, you covered it all. The sadness of it.
I know, man. I'm sad, too. What a game Titanfall 2 was, man. What a game Titanfall 1 was.
We can still play it.
No, we can't.
No,
I tried.
Maybe you just had a bad day. Maybe we just had a bad day.
The servers don't work, Connor.
No, maybe you had a bad day.
What a bummer to leave this on, huh?
I thought it would be nice and more fun, but no, it just sucks.
I thought it would too. This was a bummer news week. This sucked. You know?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like that in video games. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the news segment of our Two Penny Gamescast. Remember, you can get it every week, Monday, 8 a.m. Central, youtube.com/@2pennygames, and mainstream podcast services of your choice. We are about to jump into our Portal 2 Gameclub review right now, so stick around for that. We're going to bring Phil in here. We're going to talk all the goodies of Portal 2. So we're going to jump into that right now. But remember, our Star Wars Jedi Survivor review is coming next week. Make sure you jump back in here for that to get me and Connor's full opinions on that. I'm sure that'll be a lot of fun. I can't wait to play more Jedi Survivor. I'm playing it right now.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and jump right into it. What, don't you say, Connor?
I would say so, yes.
Let's go. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to a Two Penny Game Club review, your monthly video game book club in which me, your host, Tavin Bothel, alongside my good gaming buds, say hello to the people, Connor, Elliott.
Hello, fans and friends.
And say hello, Phil Shoemaker.
Hello, super fans.
Hello. We all sit down in the background during the month. We play a video game, and then we come to you at the beginning of every month, and we review it for you, and we rank it amongst the other games we've played in the book club just for fun, in the game club just for fun. This month, we drew Portal 2, a game by Valve, very famous game indeed. Before we get into our main review, I want to hit you with some quick facts, but remember...
Small indie developer.
Small indie developer. Remember, you can get this show at youtube.com/@2pennygames or attached to the Two Penny Gamescast on mainstream podcast services of your choice. You can watch us record our podcasts live, over at twitch.tv/2pennygames. Follow us on TikTok, 2pennygames, and on Twitter at the number 2pennygames. Some quick facts for Portal before we get into it, gentlemen. Portal 2 was released April 18th, 2011. The sales are a little tricky because NPD does not include digital sales. And this was a digital-only game for a very long time. And so it's a little tricky with the numbers, but Valve Corporation announced that Portal 2 has sold more than 4 million copies across consoles and PCs since the first-person puzzle platformer was released, or at least a year after it was released, I should say. Probably sold quite a few more since then. And on Metacritic, it is sitting at a 95. Very, very high for that there Valve puzzle platformer game. Gentlemen,
I think it earns it.
I think it earns it as well. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. I forgot to pull up my notes. God damn it. Just a whole bunch of things that I'm forgetting to pull up today. And you would know that if you watched us over at twitch.tv/2pennygames. So, my review of Puzzle 2 is that it's freaking fantastic, guys. It's
Puzzle
really
2.
It's really good. What did I say?
Yeah, Puzzle 2.
That wasn't a joke.
Oh, I did. Yeah, totally Freudian slip. My review of Portal 2 is that it is a freaking fantastic game. I think the writing is genius in it from front to back. Even in the co-op levels, it's still really good and really fun. I don't think its story is like phenomenal. It's pretty bare bones and basic, but it's good. It's entertaining. I'm never bored in it, or I'm never wishing characters would stop talking. I'm actually hoping that they keep talking, which is a mark of really, really good writing. It's just that the game is focused on its gameplay and its level design, which is genius this time around. It was genius in the first one, but this time everything is expanded upon. It's blown up. It's, working on like 4D chess level of thinking in comparison to checkers of the first game. Really, really impressed with the level design. With the overall game design. It's damn near perfect, and it's what I wish every sequel to every video game ever was. I think its antagonist is one of the best in games, and I think somehow the co-op campaign is just as good, if not better, than the single-player campaign in this game, which is insane to say. That never happens in any video game ever. I will say, however, I guess it's a critique. I wouldn't really call it a critique. The first half of both the single player and the co-op campaign I found kind of tedious, just because they are still teaching you and tutorializing you through gameplay, which is probably the best way it's ever done. in terms of tutorialization, but it's just so simple. All the puzzles and all the solutions are just so simple for so long that I was not bored, but I was like, just like, okay, can we get to the really good stuff, the meat? But when that meat came, oh God, was it delicious. And I was all about it, man. Portal 2 is one of the best games ever made, and definitely will be ranking very high for me today. Young Phil, talk to me about Portal 2.
Yeah, so Portal 2, I think... So this is a game that I originally played, oh my gosh, when I think I did co-op with my brother some point, like, when did this game come out?
2011.
2011? Yeah, it had to have been like 10 years ago, just a couple years after it came out. And, you know, I was a lot younger, a lot stupider back then. Some might say I'm just as stupid now, but, you know.
Some might say. Maybe your co-op partner.
Yeah, who knows? Anyway. Yeah, I remember enjoying it a lot back then, but I think I got even more out of it playing through it this time. Because I never really hopped into the single player. It was more just co-op in there. The single player in this game is fucking phenomenal. Like, the story, like going, you being woken up, then put back into hypersleep, then woken up again by Wheatley. And just Wheatley is probably one of my favorite companion characters in all of video games. Like, he's fucking hilarious. You know, they told me if I ever did that, I would die. Fucking hysterical shit, dude. Literally every single thing that he tries to do. Oh, thought I was gonna die if I did that. He's just a scared, funny guy. Stephen Merchant does a great job lending his voice to this role. Very funny British comedian. I don't know if you guys know Stephen Merchant that much, but you know, check out his stuff. He's a really funny guy. He does a lot of stuff with Ricky Gervais. Is a more popular guy. Anyway, I think we can't talk more about this game without going into GLaDOS. GLaDOS in this game is, if you like the snarky writing for GLaDOS in the first game, they crank that shit up to 11, 12, 13, past the 11 in this game. Holy shit, there's so much snark in this. Like, there's also, they somehow subvert your expectations by not subverting your expectations, because like the characters will say something like, oh, you know, this is we're doing this in like three levels, or maybe we're not, and then it'll happen. It'll be like, see, I told you that was going to happen. And it's like, oh, because like they expect you to expect the unexpected, but then they kind of pulled the second rug out from under you by still doing what they said they were going to do. It's insanely clever. It's very, very funny. It's also kind of varied. Like in the co-op, a lot of the voice lines are different for each person. Like they kind of gaslight you and try to like act like the other person is saying this when they're not. It's pretty goofy. We discovered that me and Tavin in our co-op playthrough, which I think maybe I still had a great time playing it, but I still think I like the single player better. But there's just something about the extra layer of having another person with two other portals that like just adding one small layer of complexity. It's like it's almost like when you have a game of chess, there's like infinite different outcomes. Like it adds so many different other outcomes for puzzles when you add that other person with two other portals, you know? It's just,
there were several portals that me and Phil completed, and we both looked at each other and went, I don't think we did that correctly. But,
yeah,
you know, we did it, so we're moving on.
we did it anyway. Exactly. But yeah, phenomenal game. I think this game is very deserving of a 95 meta rating. So I had a great time with this game, and who's ready for Portal 3?
Hey!
No one.
Only Valve learned how to count that high.
All right. Connor, what was your experience with Portal 2?
Well, we played Portal not too long ago on this show. My first time playing Portal, and subsequently my first time playing Portal 2, though I had seen it played by my brother years ago. The first game I had said was a perfect game, because the elements that it brought to you were done to a T. Well, to a T. The writing was fun. The puzzles were entertaining. And as you guys have kind of highlighted already, Portal 2 just upped it in every single category. The puzzles had a lot more factors going into it that made it a lot more entertaining and made me beat my head against a plastic wall more so than I did even the first one. which, it stumped me a lot less, which I think is a really good trait of these puzzle games. You're supposed to sit there and kind of look at it for a pretty good long while and think to yourself, what is the best way to go about this? What is the steps that I need to go through? Because even though you don't really know what you're going in puzzle room, all you have to do is, okay, I need to find the first part of this puzzle, the first key to it, and then find the next key, and find the next one, and then try and rearrange them in a certain order to do it a proper way. At least that was how my thought process went when I was playing the game. Similarly to the first game, I had a smile on my face every single time there was any bit of dialogue going on, from the pleasantries of the voices that were going on, whether it was GLaDOS or Stephen Merchant with Wheatley, or the silent protagonist not saying anything at all, which just let these two other ones shine even more so by not having this, internal monologue going throughout your head of whatever your character would be thinking of, and being a silent protagonist, which I think is a very good use of it. As some other games, you can kind of hope that there would be some voice from the protagonist of what's going on. This one, it served its function perfectly. And
I feel like it would take away if she had a voice.
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, it definitely would. I'm not the biggest fan of puzzle games as a whole, because that whole beating my head against a wall until I get through it can be kind of tiresome. But the portal system, the way that you move throughout the map, whether it's through the portal gun itself, through the interesting ways that maneuverability was introduced in some of these maps, such as having the, what do you call them, the word for it, the beam, the transporting beam that rises you up into an area.
Like the grav lift thing? Yeah.
Grav lift, yeah. The introduction of things like the grav lift, all those different juices that allow you to create portals on different areas of the map that usually wouldn't happen.
The gel was fucking fantastic.
Were the light
too.
bridges in the last game?
No. Light bridges?
Yeah, I don't think they were, right? Yeah, so all of those, it was just lasers and turrets, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lasers, turrets, cubes.
As you guys were saying, once again, small things that shouldn't ideally cause that much of a big change in gameplay, at least with many other games, radically alter the way this game is played and how you have to view how to complete certain puzzles, which, as once again Tavin said, it was kind of basic stuff, kind of what Portal 1 was like in its entirety. Shoot the portal over here to make yourself fall to get to this location, or, find ways to get past this barrier that eliminates your portals if you go through it, which these things exist in this game, but as those added functions that I had just previously mentioned would make otherwise more tedious puzzles, which Portal 1 could sometimes run into, not really exist in this game. With really the only time the game ever boring me was when I couldn't figure out a puzzle, which when you can't do that, the game becomes kind of a pain to play, because you're like, okay, I don't know where I am, and the way that you have to find out how to complete the puzzles isn't very fun. It's more the fact that you finish the puzzle, which is generally the rewarding part in this game, but those other elements do make it to where just solving the puzzle itself becomes a lot more entertaining in Portal 2. Whereas in Portal 1, you were kind of more just, if you were, beating your head up against a wall, you were a lot more bored because there was a lot less to think about, and the solution was a lot less complicated. So, I don't know. With puzzle games, you really want to think a lot when you're completing these puzzles than just, trial and error, which I felt like I did with the first game a lot. Whereas in this one, it really made me sit there, look at the entire map, and think, okay, how am I get behind these turrets to hit them off the ledge so they aren't shooting me every single time I step behind a plexiglass piece of glass. I don't think I ever played the Portal co-op game, but I think I had a recollection of playing it back in the day with my brother after seeing him play the original game.
You and I toyed around with it back in the day a little bit.
We did that.
We didn't get very far.
No, we did not. Man, I think I am a lot smarter than I was when I was a kid, because I would not be able to do these back then at all.
You weren't.
So to that end, I think it's a really good way for a good game for adults to play, and not for kids. This is not a dumb baby game like Sonic, for example. It's one from a sure.
Okay.
Just sending shots for no reason.
Why are you throwing strays at Sonic? Come on,
Connor. Reiterate. You said it gets boring when you get stuck.
When I get stuck, yeah, like trying to figure out how to get past whatever wall is in front of me in whatever level. Just I would kind of just sit there and be like, okay, I wish I was doing something else. I'm stuck because I couldn't look things up. I wouldn't do that to myself. I wouldn't.
No, you shouldn't do that to yourself.
No, absolutely not.
So ultimately, it had multiple spots in the game where I was very bored because I wasn't able to know how to complete the puzzle. But that would instantly go away when I got to the new room, and I would have a new, fresh set of challenges to put myself up against.
Interesting. I don't know. I guess I never had that feeling personally because every time I got stuck, I knew the solution was in front of me. All of the elements were there, and it was just a matter of taking them all in and figuring out the creative way to use the tools that I had to get there. So it just never happened for me, but that's interesting that it did for you. The game's sense of pace is really good as well. Like, they know when to ramp up difficulty. They know when to, all right, let's ease off the gas. Let's have a couple of story beats. Let's have some narrative here. Let's have some bits where it's just real easy. Oh, I need to get over there, plug to the wall next to me, go over there. I would say, I guess the level design in the, like, the connective tissues of the levels aren't very good because, like, it's just, like, broken down bridges or, like, really ugly, like, outside environments, which, like, there's a narrative reason for all of that, but I guess, like, it doesn't bother me because it's clearly, like, not what the devs are intending to be, like, what you want to look at. It's just them saying, all right, this is how we get you to this next giant sequence that we have planned, where we're going to introduce the gels, where we're going to introduce anti-gravity, and then, like, the build up from that. I said it last time with Portal 1, where the step-by-step evolution in thinking in this game and the way that they ratchet up difficulty in a way that, like, you just kind of figure it out, like, as you go along. They don't need to tell you to do it. You just do it, and you figure it out, and you put the pieces together. There's never been game design this ingenious before, and arguably after this.
Since, yeah.
Yeah, like, it's just, like, in terms of, like, craftsmanship, it's a perfect video game. Will I ever replay it again? Probably not. Yeah. Just because I know solutions. But, give me another five years. Let me forget some of these things, and then I'll dive back in and it'll all be fresh again. And I'll walk away feeling exactly how I feel now, where I'm like, God damn, this game is excellent. I'll say, though, ladies and gentlemen, if you do the co-op campaign, don't play with Phil Shoemaker.
Whoa. Okay, no, it was great. It was great. It was a great time. I'm waiting for them to port. I'm waiting for them to port this stuff to PlayStation so I can get fucking trophies for this.
Is it not on PlayStation?
No.
Oh, okay. Because they just ported it to Switch. We're sure it's not on PlayStation?
Pretty sure.
Okay. So me and Phil tackled the co-op campaign in 2 different play sessions, and both times Phil, right before playing, decided to celebrate a little 420 before and after 420.
It was a great time. It was a great time.
Bad idea.
Well, Connor, if you think that's a bad idea, we also, and you're seeing it in the B-roll here,
yeah,
we tripped and fell into bonus co-op levels instead of doing the regular, like, paced out co-op levels. And so we went
deep into the pool.
We went from, like, babies putting blocks on top of each other to, like, quantum physics, like, immediately. Like, there was no build up. We just went straight to the hard shit. And that's when Phil was at his most celebratory, we'll say. So it was a lot of me looking around like, man, what do you see? Like, what are you looking at? And also, a great mechanic.
Hitting tab, yeah.
Yeah, because because we jumped into those levels, and in co-op, if you hold down the tab button, you get to see what your partner is seeing. They do a little picture-in-picture, and they give
time.
Yeah, in real time, they give you what your partner is looking at, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Why don't more games do that? I will never understand.
Admittedly, that's Portal is a very simply made game. At the end of the day, I mean,
yes, but, like, this was 2011, so you're telling me we can't do that now, like, in some smaller games or anything, or just some simple games, like
what co-op games have you played in recent years?
It
Not
Takes
really
Two.
It Takes Two would be a good one, but It Takes Two is also split screen only, so
yeah,
so like that problem kind of solves itself. But
there's no online co-op in that one.
No online co-op in that one. Yeah.
What about A Way Out? Is it the same way?
Same way. That's Hazelight's thing, is they want you to play together. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I mean, like, I would appreciate it in GTA 5. Like, if I could, have a party and like select someone and just hold a button to have a picture just to see what they're looking at different times.
Yeah.
Or maybe like Halo co-op or something, It's just wild to me that's the mechanic that is only in this game and nobody else has grabbed it. It's probably pretty hard to do.
Probably.
But, I can do it on Discord. Like, why can't I do it in a video game type
Right.
thing? But yeah, God, I almost want to do these bonus levels again because, like, those were really, really excellent. And we didn't get to we finished the bonus levels and then played like another round or two, like, sets of levels, and it was back to like babies putting blocks on top of each other. And both
put
me,
the
like,
cube on the button.
and it was hilarious because like the roles flipped because Phil, being inebriated, was able to go simple brain with it and go, oh, we just do this. And I'm still like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, but what's the twist? Like, yes, I see the walls, but like, how do we do it? How do we implement everything in the room? And Phil's like, no, we just put one there and one there. And I'm like, oh, okay. You're right. It is that simple. Man, I really loved this game, gentlemen. Also, forget in the main co-op campaign, it's blue and blue, isn't it? Or is it blue and red? It's blue and red, isn't it?
It's portals? Blue and orange, yeah. Blue and orange.
Okay, yeah. I like the yellow and red more.
Contrary colors or
that you get for player 2, but yeah. Phil, you talked about a lot. The writing in this game is really, really good.
So good.
Yeah.
See we talked about Stephen Merchant as Wheatley. I'm trying to look up the actress for GLaDOS because she's just as good.
J.K. Rowling was very good in this game.
What?
Ellen McLean.
Oh.
J.K. Rowling. No. Where were you going with
Simmons?
J.K.
Simmons.
Why'd you say J.K. Rowling? I thought you were doing a bit.
I thought he was too.
Yeah.
J.K. Simmons as Cave Johnson was fun. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And that's another example of like, so they hint at pretty heavily, nearly confirming that like there's the Caroline assistant character that is GLaDOS that turns into GLaDOS. That's an example to me where it's like, I feel like that moment should have impact and it kind of just happens. And you have like an aha moment as the player, but it doesn't go anywhere past that.
Right.
Like the story reveals have as much impact as just completing a single puzzle room. Which makes me go, all right, so like, yeah, the writing's really good and really clever, but this story is whatever. Like, take it or leave it,
I think the one that is true as a rule of thumb for this game. The one exception being the betrayal of Wheatley. That was done very well, where you're kind of like your stomach drops and you're like, oh, he's not letting. Obviously, we knew it was going to happen.
Up in that elevator, and then he's like, wait a minute. On second thought, we don't have to leave right now.
And it's also, the writing is so good because you're always one step ahead of Wheatley as the player. And so you are one step ahead of his betrayal before it happens. And you go, oh shit, I see where that line of thinking is going to take him. And then it takes him there. And you go, all right, this is what we're dealing with for the next 5 hours of gameplay.
Yeah.
Game also perfectly paced. Both the single player and co-op campaign ended right when I wanted it to be over. Like, I was literally like, okay, I'm kind of done with this experience. And then it was a couple more rooms and I was done. And I was like, perfect. That's exactly what I wanted.
This is competition for one of the funniest games of all time, I think. I was constantly enjoying
I'd say
myself.
it's definitely in the conversation, yeah.
Definitely in the conversation. It never had me bust gut laughing, but it did have me chuckling like almost the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a potato.
Potato.
You're the moron they made to make me an idiot.
Oh man.
You're the moron to make me an idiot. That's fucking great line. No, I'm very happy with Portal 2. I loved all of the gel stuff. Let's run fast, let's jump high, let's put portals everywhere. Which that's a dangerous mechanic to have, is to be like, all right, we're gonna let you put this gel everywhere. And
that's partially why some of those levels, I feel like that's why they like restrict you on like where there's only a certain amount of platforms. Like, you know, like they don't want the player to like get out of the world, you know?
Yeah. And to that point, like that speaks to how ingenious the level design really is, where they give you a tool that should make you break the game and the game doesn't break. Like it holds true under all of that. That's
Definitely a
incredible.
masterclass in game design. Yeah.
100%. Like they should teach college courses on how these levels are designed and built and how it was
Just
done.
the feeling of like momentum and every that's some of the most satisfying like lizard brain part of like my brain, like that tickles that part of my gamer mind is how they play with momentum and throwing things from one area to another.
And also
It's
how
insane.
like they will have, especially in the co-op campaign, because you have to bring a co-op partner with you. They have this thing where there are a bunch of puzzles where you have to repeat the same task again and again and again, but it never feels repetitive. It's never like okay, now I have to do this. It's never boring when you have to, like, hey, we have to do steps A, B, and C. I do them, now you do them, now we do them again. And now we've solved the puzzle. Like, that always felt just as well crafted as just the simple 1 + 1 = 2 type puzzles. Like, just I don't understand how a game can be this good.
Defies logic.
Right. It just doesn't have the same impact on me emotionally. Like it's like objectively the best game ever, but it's just not my favorite game ever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just because
Objectively the best game ever.
I mean, no, but
Jak 2, you're right.
Jak
Jak
2.
2.
The answer is Jak 2.
A very streamlined experience, that Jak 2. Anyone can enjoy that.
I drove from Fort Worth to Nacogdoches today, and I was listening to a podcast, and the podcast, you know, we had a conversation in the group chat about it, but the podcast made me pause it and rant about Jak 2 just to myself. For probably about 5 minutes, I ranted about Jak 2.
Tavin, you have just unjustified hate for that game.
No, very justified. Very justified.
I want to play it just so I can know.
It's bad. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that, I think, does anybody else have anything they want to say about Portal 2 before we start talking about where this bad boy goes?
I think let's just put it on the list.
Let's put it on this motherfucking list.
The most fun part of
Gentlemen,
these reviews.
let me pull this up. Yeah. So, the list as it stands right now. Everybody can see it. Oh, wait, no. People can't see the whole list. I see this. Hold on.
Oh yeah, they're missing
the
Chrono
bottom
Trigger
two.
and Arkham.
Yeah. Oops. Damn it. I thought I had this set. And where are they? There we are.
Wow.
Bada- And we'll do some of this, and we'll do some of this. All right. The list as follows, from bottom to top. Number 11, Batman Arkham Asylum. Number 10, Uncharted, Drake's Fortune. Number 9, Halo Combat Evolved. Number 8, Resident Evil 4. Number 7, Portal. Number 6, Resident Evil. Number 5, Chrono Trigger. Number 4, Dishonored. Number 3, Hades. Number 2, The Last of Us. Number 1, God of War, Ragnarok. Who wants to start the bidding?
So,
Connor,
here's
you begin.
Here's the difficult part, because you losers can't play every single game on this list. Chrono Trigger.
Who's loser? I played. Well, I didn't complete, or I didn't
beat
finish,
it.
but I didn't beat it. I didn't beat it. But I beat it.
Now, reasonably, Tavin, you can get the gist of the game, but I'm not going to give you that because you didn't beat the game. You don't get.
I put over 20 hours into that bad boy.
Yawn. Okay, you didn't beat it. Not for this podcast. It does not matter. But it is at the very.
Hold on. Pause. We established new rules when Phil came in that for big games, play at least 20 hours. I played over 20 hours. So I think...
Well, Phil hasn't played Chrono Trigger.
He hasn't.
So, you know, it's something that I would, in my own personal list, put at number 6. Especially because it's a Portal. It's a puzzle game. Puzzle games, not my game to play. Not my type. But... I'm going to put it at 6 because I couldn't do anything else to myself. Otherwise, I couldn't do that to myself if I didn't put it below Chrono Trigger because I think Chrono Trigger is a better game. But this is the
Connor,
Two Penny Gamecast top 10 games.
I'm glad you're saying that because we would never expect you to do that to yourself. That's why we're going to do it for you.
Connor, explain to me why Chrono Trigger is a better game than Portal 2.
Well, I think it has a lot more elements that I find enjoyable. The gameplay loop is a lot more satisfying. The story is a lot more interesting. The characters are a lot more interesting. The soundtrack is better. The level design is not as actually good. Portal 2's got it over that one. Because, as good as JRPG level designs can be, they are JRPG level designs, whereas Portal 2, the puzzles themselves are the levels.
The characters are better?
Amazing. Yeah, definitely.
Shout out to John in the chat.
I think the writing is better in Portal 2, but I think the characters are better in Chrono Trigger. They're less one note.
With you. They're less one note?
Yeah.
I think all of them are one note. Bad guy is bad guy. This is the caveman woman. This is the love interest. Huh?
Well, the bad guy in Chrono Trigger is a force of nature. It's not really like a actual being, unless you're talking about Magus.
Yeah.
Well, he comes up.
I understand. There's some switcheroos near the end, but Chrono has no character.
Well, sure, he's a silent protagonist.
Sure, yeah, and you could say the same about Shell in this one, but Winston and GLaDOS exude character. They have multiple dimensions to them. Even though GLaDOS is snarky to you the whole time, there are moments where she feels dumb. There are moments where she's befuddled. I don't understand how those characters in Chrono Trigger are more flushed out than the characters here.
Well, GLaDOS, I think, is a good, example for why Portal could be better if it wasn't just one character. Wheatley is definitely a one-note character. Just because one note doesn't mean bad. Definitely doesn't. But everything about Wheatley is laid bare. It's very obvious, and he's all designed that way because he's a robot.
I really disagree.
I think I have to disagree too because he's surprisingly human for a robot.
He's got this huge inferiority complex going on. Mm-hmm. Yes, he's dumb, and the joke is always he's dumb. But he gets mad that he's dumb. He knows he's dumb, but he doesn't want to admit he's dumb. He's got short man syndrome.
Very Napoleonic.
There's
Napoleon, yeah.
A lot of there's a small cast in this game, but there's a lot of dimensions to every character. Even Cave Johnson has a bunch of dimensions to him, as the one note corporate overlord, quote unquote. He's got a lot of dimensionality to him.
Fair, but still, at the end of the day, that's a smaller cast compared to a bigger cast, who I think still have a lot more dimension to them.
Okay.
Now,
right.
Yeah, I guess that's the conversation was why I thought that was there. Why I thought it was.
Yeah. There's gonna be a push and pull there. Game mechanics, sure, you like JRPGs better than puzzle games. That's fair. Level design I think is obviously better in P2 or Portal 2 rather. What were the other elements? Music's better.
Soundtrack, story.
Music's better in Chrono Trigger. I'll give you that. Story's better in Chrono Trigger. I'll give you that. Phil, where are you going with this?
We kind of had a little chat about it in our last co-op session. Mm-hmm. I think, for me, looking at this
you had told me where you were going to put it then. I didn't tell you where I was putting it. But it sounds
I had a pretty good idea of where you were putting it. I think this should be the new number 4.
Above Dishonored, below Hades.
Yeah.
Okay. And Phil, remind me where you thought I was going to put this.
I thought you were going to put it in a similar spot, if not even higher.
That's what I assumed.
You both are very close. I personally have this as our new number 3.
Oh wow!
Better than Hades, I would put this above Hades because there's no filler. There's no fat on this, and Hades has quite a bit of fat on it. But that's the point of the game of Hades. I just prefer a leaner, more direct experience, and I think this one, as opposed to Portal 1, which I felt was too lean, didn't give me enough meat to have an impactful experience. This one, in both single player and co-op, more than enough meat. In fact, there's 2 games in here of a perfect puzzle game experience. Like, puzzle games don't get better than this, outside of maybe The Witness, which I haven't played. And I just kind of personally prefer that more. Also, the randomness of Hades holds it back to me, because it just keeps the combat and the gameplay loop from being fully being fully like I never feel like I am fully in control of the gameplay in Hades because of like just the randomness of the boons and the randomness of the enemies that you'll fight and all of that. And it really just kind of comes down to preference, because don't get me wrong, Hades is a great game, one of my favorite games ever. But I just kind of like that. And honestly, I thought Connor was going to come into this higher than he is.
Me too.
And we could have had a conversation, and I could have been swayed to put this over The Last of Us. But obviously that's not happening today. So yeah, I'm going to put it between The Last of Us and the Hades. I think Last of Us' narrative and story and how the gameplay and narrative combine to give you an experience leaves a greater impact than Portal 2 does. It's in The Last of Us is in my mind more than Portal 2 will be, and I'm more likely to play The Last of Us again, back to back playthroughs, or the proximity of my playthroughs will be a lot closer as opposed to my playthroughs of Portal 2 from now and into the future. Like, because Portal 2, you need to put time to forget things in between.
Yeah,
whereas
there's gotta
Last
be
of
a
Us,
gap between playthroughs. Yeah.
Yeah, Last of Us, I mean, I played it 3 times last year. Now, I wish I didn't play it 3 times last year, but that's just what happened. So, yeah, me personally, I would vote Portal 2 above Hades.
Well, that being said, as far as how averages work, is that going to be at 4 or 5? Because I'm assuming that's how it would.
The way it would work is, so you would put it at number 6 above Resident Evil, below Chrono Trigger. Mm-hmm. So if we were to do like a hands raising type of vote, like who thinks it's better than Resident Evil, we would all raise our hands. Who thinks it's better than Chrono Trigger, we would all, or me and Phil would raise our hands so it would advance. Who thinks it's better than Dishonored, me and Phil would raise our hands so it would advance. Who thinks it's better than Hades, Phil would drop out so it would be just me. So it stops there.
Yeah, it would stop at 4.
Yeah, so our new ranking in the votes go: number 12, Batman Arkham Asylum. Number 11, Uncharted 1. Number 9, Halo 1. Number 8, Resident Evil 4. Number 7, Portal. Number 6, Resident Evil. Number 8, Portal. Number 7, Resident Evil. Number 6, Chrono Trigger. Number 5, Dishonored. Number 4, Portal 2. Number 3, Hades. Number 2, The Last of Us. And number 1, still on top, God of War Ragnarok. Will it ever advance past that? Who knows, ladies and gentlemen? Who knows?
I think that's a tough top 3 to break through.
That's a tough top 3. That's a tough. I mean, we haven't. We would disagree as to the level of quality of games, but I don't think we've played a bad game yet. So, like, and most of the games we've played so far, there have been people in every one of our comment sections saying, this game is a masterpiece. How could you, criticize it? Or how could you, like, there were people in the Halo 1 review short who were like, Halo 1 is the best one. What do you mean? And I was like,
for who?
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, multiple weirdos on the internet were like, Halo 1, the best. And I was like,
yeah, that's tough.
All right. Connor, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, the only bad one on here is Arkham Asylum. I'm doubling down. It's a bad game. I'm not
Connor,
gonna say
in the review, you said it wasn't bad. You just hate it.
I'm changed by it. Yeah, of course. I've gotten over that hump. No, I'm going to say I hate it because I've distanced myself.
God damn.
Hate festers with time, as we all know.
Oh, it's my favorite part. It's time for my favorite part.
Kevin, that's the wrong wheel.
I'm doing the wrong one. I'm doing the wrong one.
Ted, we can't see your. Oh my God, Ted, we're gonna.
Yeah, we're seeing my Google Doc, guys. You're looking at my theater history paper.
Oh my God.
Hold on.
Embarrassing.
I know. I've got this. Hold on. 2 seconds. There we go. Bada boom.
Which one should we get off? That's the question.
That is the question. So give me a second. Let me share the screen with you, gentlemen, so we can all have a fair conversation about what's in here.
Do we have Hellblade?
We got to do vetoes.
Hellblade is on this list.
Okay.
So vetoes, real quick. Last month we did The Last of Us Part 2. We did. This isn't right, is it? I don't feel like this is right. This is like an unsaved thing. Sonic Adventure and Death Stranding is.
Wait, I'm sorry. What was next to Sonic Adventure there? What was written? I thought there was something.
I've already scrolled past, and I'd have to find it again, and it's so hard to find it. It's just so hard. So, gentlemen, last month I had failed to put Final Fantasy Stranger in Paradise in the list. Connor, you'll be happy to know it is in the list. So go ahead, scroll through, figure out what you would like to take out of this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go in here and find myself, because we're in the middle of reviewing it right now, and you can find it next week on the channel. Our review of Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I'm taking Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order out of the list this month.
Hey, I just played that.
Yeah, just played it, Phil. So, gentlemen, where are we going from here? What are we pulling out?
You know what? I'm going to
Reminder, we're playing Survivor right now, which seems to be a 20-plus hour game, and then Legend of Zelda's right around the corner. So, you boys have to get through. So for the month of May, pick your choices wisely, because you're gonna be short on time.
I'm gonna go ahead for that reason and go Fire Emblem Three Houses.
You're taking that one out?
Taking out the Three Houses.
I want to do the other Star Wars game, Knights of the Old Republic, but
KOTOR's great. I can't wait to play that.
I think I'll use my veto on KOTOR.
KOTOR?
I think we got
Not even
coming up.
There's so many other games in this list that are so much bigger than that, but okay.
Oh, well, I mean, I just don't want to play a big game is the thing.
Yeah, that's fair. Where is it? There it is. All right.
Here it is, guys.
Boom. So let's take this out, and let's see what we're playing for the month of May, gentlemen.
I'm so excited.
I'm very excited. If it's Breath of the Wild, I'm going to put a bullet in my brain.
Yeah, right.
Breath of the Wild is probably something y'all should have taken out. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze.
Tropical Freeze.
All right.
Time to load up some Nintendo Switches, boys.
Is that where it is?
That's where it is. Unless you got a Wii U hanging around somewhere.
No, I do not.
All right.
It's a short game. I think.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's pretty short.
Yeah, we'll find out. It's a platformer, so, who knows. And then let me find the date for that. So this one is in the 1st of May is when this one comes out. So we will be recording our review for this on June 4th. So you can watch us review that live over at twitch.tv/2pennygames. It will be up the same day at youtube.com/@2pennygames, or attached to the 2penny Gamescast on the 5th on mainstream podcast services of your choice, or YouTube channel if you want to watch it there as well. Let us know down in the comments how you feel about Portal 2, where we should have ranked it, and how bad our list already is. Until next time, have a great time, and gentlemen, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye.